in the locker room many, many years ago. So I'll tell that story a little bit later. But let's get to the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline from CBS Westwood One. He was. I have no idea how he is alive right now because he did the first four last night.
He told me on the phone, we sleep in May.
Oh, there you go. Jon Rothstein is on the air with us. John, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
We're doing pretty well. Look, we do early morning radio, and everybody always asks, do you sleep? Well, we can ask you that because you were doing basketball late last night, and here you are with us early. But I also know you eat, sleep, and breathe college hoops, so I imagine you're not sleeping much this time of year anyway.
No, definitely not, guys. This is the time of the year we put everything in the overdrive. But, it's a labor of love, and with what we've dealt with the last couple of years, I think everybody's just grateful that we have an NCAA tournament back in regular form. And, guys, I got to tell you, there were so many great things about being in Dayton last night and obviously taking everything all in. But the pageantry of college basketball that was missing last year with the pandemic when the NCAA tournament was held in a bubble, all of those things are back right now. The band, the popcorn, the fans, all of those things. It was really, really special to see last night in Dayton.
So did it feel real again? Like, as somebody that has watched a lot of these, attended a lot of these games, care as deeply as you do, John, did it feel like the NCAA tournament again? And obviously it's only going to get better from here.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it felt like, if there was no 2020, it felt like it was life before, obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic. And that's all we can ask for. Our lives will never be the same after such a, history-setting stretch in our nation and our world. But, what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I think we just have such a greater appreciation for the nights like, we experienced last night. And we've got a really, really good, set of games tonight in Dayton. And this isn't hyperbole. I'm not just saying this because I'm working the games because I'm such an advocate and a fan and proponent of college basketball. Rutgers Notre Dame speaks for itself. But, the battle between Bryant and Rice State, I think you could make a case, has a chance to be the best matchup of 16 seeds that we've had since the inception of the first four. Rice State is going to be playing 12 miles from its campus, and then Bryant has college basketball's leading scorer in Peter Kiss, and Bryant plays at an extremely, extremely fast pace. So it's a fascinating matchup on paper.
So we can get into a little bit of the meat and tax here of the actual tournament itself. Vols fans are pretty excited around here. In the state of Tennessee, look, you got Memphis that started to play better down the stretch, Chattanooga that's in this tournament. Obviously, Vanderbilt and Belmont didn't make it. They played a fun game last night in the NIT. But Tennessee right now, how do you look at this Vols team and how they are stepping into this tournament?
Well, it's funny. I was talking to an SEC head coach, guys, on Sunday, and he told me, I think this is the year that Rick Barnes breaks through and gets to a Final Four. They went to a Sweet 16 a couple of years ago in 2019, lost a heartbreaking game to Purdue. But there is a vibe and a belief right now that Tennessee is ready to break through and get Rick Barnes to where he hasn't been in 19 years, and that's the Final Four.
Do you think there is something about this team that gives him the opportunity to do that better than teams that he's had in the past? Because obviously if they have a bad run, if they're out early, Barnes is going to take a lot of that flack because he has struggled so much in March, and it's been a narrative for so very long. But what is it about the makeup of this team that has people feeling like this could be the year?
Well, I think, the one thing that we've seen is that, dynamic guard play is something that's going to always translate. It's something that's always going to make, obviously, a big difference this time of year. And I felt all season long, even before Olivia Tomwa went down for the season with an injury, that Tennessee's strength and its greatest alignment was when it played 4 guard sets. Now you're seeing a situation, obviously, where that's obviously a major proponent of this basketball team. And, I think it's interesting, too. So much hype, and for good reason, was based upon Kennedy Chandler entering the season for Tennessee. But, guys, how big is the guy Ziegler been?
Oh, yeah.
And I know that Kennedy Chandler is going to head to the NBA. He's going to pursue a professional career. But in Zakai Ziegler, you have a guy that's going to be a face of this program. You have a guy that's going to be in a scenario where he can be an identifiable piece with Tennessee. It's a funny, debate. It's a funny exercise in critical thinking. But, in college today, where we see so much turnover and the sport's changed so much with immediate eligibility and things like that, it's like, who is the better recruit? Is it Kenny DeChandler or is it Kai Ziegler?
John, you see teams, and we see it every season, get hot at the right time. Seems like Tennessee is one of those in that window, but the ire of the fan base in Tennessee is that they felt like they were disrespected with just a 3 seed in this. Maybe internally, is that something they can channel and fuel to kind of bust that bubble and get into the Final Four?
No question. And guys, I felt really all along since the brackets came out on Sunday that Tennessee should have been a 2 seed and Duke should have been a 3 seed. Look, we're splitting atoms. You can't fight at this point. But, I think that the bracket lines up well for Tennessee to get to the Sweet 16, and then they have a chance to get a rematch potentially with Villanova, a team that beat them soundly in November. But you guys know as well as I do, this is not the same Tennessee team that we saw in November.
How open is this tournament? I talked to my friend Aaron Torres yesterday, and he says, year after year, people say this tournament is open and it's not, but this year it really is. Like, we're looking at potentially maybe there's double-digit teams that could win this thing. We've seen everybody lose. Nobody's going for an undefeated record this year, John.
Sure.
How wide open do you believe the Big Dance to be this season?
I felt that Gonzaga, Kentucky, and Arizona have been the 3 best teams all season long. And look, nobody is not going to pick teams outside the box at the start of the tournament. But if you told me that none of the 8 seeds made the Final Four and that we had 3 seeds and above in New Orleans in a couple of weeks, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I think there is a bona fide chance that something like that could happen.
Do you feel like the Big Ten is going to have a better performance this year than last year? That was kind of a running joke around these parts, watching the SEC versus the Big Ten. But Iowa looks like maybe they're built a little bit better this year in terms of just the makeup of their team. But then you look at a team like Illinois, John, and you can tell me if I'm off on this, but they feel like a team that would have won a championship 20 years ago, but might not be built as well for a tournament like this.
Well, I think the Illinois dynamic is, they're a team that can really shoot the basketball and has great shooting around Kofi Coburn, with Trent Frazier, with DeMonte Williams, with guys like that, with Alfonso Plummer. But, we have still not seen the perfect blend for Illinois with Andre Curbelo. And I think, guys, the perfect example of that is what we saw at the end of Illinois' Big Ten tournament loss to Indiana on the final play. It's a roller coaster experience with Curbelo. He's been in and out of the lineup due to concussion issues all season long. And you have somebody, again, who came into the year as an All-American candidate and, has been in and out of the lineup for various reasons. So Illinois is still capable, but they're also capable, I think, of bowing out early. That's the thing that, I think we all need to remind ourselves about the NCAA tournament, is that things are so fleeting. A couple of years ago in 2019, Auburn makes the Final Four. Auburn has a chance to go to the national title game, and they were inches away from beating Virginia. But Auburn also almost lost to New Mexico State in the round of 64. So it's a very fine line.
Are there give me a couple of just things that you could look at in terms of early matchups that you might not be paying attention to where there could be an upset from a team that wouldn't think it to be an upset if they were to beat the higher seed?
I think that South Dakota State, Providence is one of the more fascinating first-round matchups. South Dakota State is a team that checks all the boxes for, a team from a mid-major conference that has a chance to win. When I'm trying to evaluate, situations where teams from these lower-level conferences have a chance to pick somebody off, I'm asking myself, do they establish winning throughout the season? South Dakota State's won over 30 games. They haven't lost since early December. Do they have returning personnel? You better believe they have returning personnel. And they shoot the basketball exceptionally well from deep. Guys, South Dakota State shoots just over 44% from 3. They space the floor. And look, for as good as Providence is, and look, I've been very open about the fact that Ed Cooley should be the national coach of the year. They have limped to the finish a little bit based on the way that they played at the Big East tournament. They held on against Butler. They also were in a situation where they were dominated, ambushed, and destroyed against Creighton. So I think that's a matchup to watch here in the first round.
Have you filled out a bracket, John?
I always do, but just so you know, I keep a bottle of kerosene right here just in case I go.
Are you willing to tell us who's at the end of that bracket?
Yeah, I have in the Final Four Gonzaga, Kentucky, Arizona, and then I rolled the dice and went with Keegan Murray and Iowa as the fourth team. I feel like you got to have one pick that's a little bit off the radar, so that's what I decided to do.
All right, good stuff. So you're here because of FanDuel. The tournament, we already know the money that's going to be laid down on this tournament is absolutely astronomical. This is one of the biggest, most popular betting opportunities in all of sports. So how can FanDuel make that experience even more fun and exciting?
Sign up, obviously, be on point and everything like that, and the rest will be taken care of.
That's real simple, John. We certainly appreciate the time. I know you're going to enjoy this tournament. So are we. Thanks so much.
You guys, you have it. All the best. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. That's Jon Rothstein. Jon Rothstein and I have the I don't know if it's the honor, but we have a crossover in that we both guest hosted for Doug Gottlieb. Don't think that's going on my epitaph. I don't think that one's going to be in the first
But you have
paragraph
a
of the
common
obit.
thread.